Welcome to the Mind of a Coach podcast. This is your host, Coach Nathan Moran and Asa Duvall. How are you doing today, brother?
What's up, Nate? I'm happy to be here, dude. I'm happy to be here. Another long week, but we're here now. So it's about to be a good time.
Yeah, hey, man. I'll say I said it last week. I'll say it again. The best part of my week.
It really has. Yeah, it has.
Bringing some new swag to the table with the backwards hat. Everyone here should respect that.
Thank you, man. I'm trying to switch it up a little bit, keep you on your toes.
Okay. I love it. I love it. All right. So let's get right into it. Our historical fact of the day, Asa, I believe you were providing that for us today.
Yes, sir. I got you. So for those out there that do not know, when Tennessee State University was a member of the NAIA, they were three-time national champions from 1957, 1958, and 1959. So that's three consecutive national championships in a row. And that was the first team to win three consecutive basketball national championships at any level of college basketball. Those three teams, they were led by legendary coach John McClendon. So that's a historical fact of the week out there for y'all. Three consecutive championships by Tennessee State while they were in the NAIA back in 57, 58, and 59. So pretty interesting out there.
Dang, that's definitely interesting. I had no idea about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people don't. John McClendon is a legend, dude. Like he is a lot of greats learned from John McClendon, and he's respected amongst the whole basketball community. So he was a legend. He really was.
That's awesome, man. And the beautiful thing is that Coach Penny Collins, for anybody that doesn't know, Coach Penny Collins and Coach Asa Duvall are about to bring another back-to-back title. So everybody just needs to be on their toes and have that forward vision for TSU men's basketball. We already saw a little bit of the turnaround last year, so it's just going to keep improving.
Thank you, man. I hope so. That's the plan.
I'm excited. I'm excited for you guys, especially for everything that you and Penny are doing there, video wise, and just like bringing excitement back to the city. It's awesome.
Yeah, but there's a lot of other people that go in to make it happen. But so I'm low on that list, but it's fun to be a part of it.
But hey, like you said, every single person matters. So I think it's awesome what you guys are doing over there. But all right, man. So we got into our historical fact of the week. Give me something positive, Asa, this week.
The NCAA finally voted, and we have a start date for the return of college basketball, November 25th. So we finally have a start date at least. Now, the games are still up in the air. Nobody still really knows the exact scheduling, the MTVs, the multi-team events. That's kind of up in the air. But at last, we finally have a start date for college basketball this year. So if that's not a reason to celebrate, I don't really know what is.
Oh, that is definitely a reason to celebrate. It's been way too long.
Man, it's good to at least have, even if it's this much, at least we got a little bit of an idea of what it's going to look like now officially. So I'm excited, man. I'm happy about that.
Man, it is definitely exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, just being in the game and not having basketball or not having an idea of what's going on. Yeah. It's definitely exciting to have a sure fine print thing of what's going on. However, where I am, it's still a little uncertain, but I'm glad that at least Division I basketball is starting to get in that direction.
Yeah.
But I guess I would say my weekly positivity is we got to see our guys on the court this week. They've been scrimmaging a little bit, and man, I'm excited for our guys. Like they've just been like, foaming at the mouth, ready to play against each other again. And just the competition level, obviously it's not going to be super clean right now, but man, it's exciting to see a group of talented individuals just go after each other and just have that excitement. So that is my weekly positivity. So same, we didn't branch out too much this week from the game of basketball.
Yeah, they're right. No, we didn't.
Anyway, all right, guys. So, we're actually stay tuned right now because we have an exciting new segment for you guys. Asa, tell me a little bit about this new segment that we're going to present to these guys this week.
I'm excited about this segment, man. We're going to call it Asa's got to get this off his chest. So however I'm feeling that day, normally it's going to be in the world of sports. Sometimes it might not be. I may come in here, wake up pissed off about the ending of Game of Thrones all over again and come in here and rant about that for 30 to 45 minutes. But today, that's not what I'm ranting about. I'm not going to – so here's what I got to get off my chest. I'm not going to tell you my feelings about the NBA MVP, who should have won it, anything like that. That's not why I'm here. But, however, here's what I'm going to say. if it really is a regular season MVP, then announce the stupid thing after the regular season before the postseason, because for two reasons. It gets so diluted when you wait till halfway down the playoffs to announce it. And but also if you announce it after the regular season before the postseason, it adds some pressure to the winner of the award. And, pressure, either it busts pipes or makes diamonds. So I like the added pressure to the winner of the MVP going into the postseason and putting pressure on them to perform. So NBA, if it's going to be a regular season award, just announce it after the regular season before the postseason, please. So that's what I get off. That's what I got to get off my chest this week, Nate. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. But
no, hey, and I'm going to keep it short, but I agree with you. I think if it adds any pressure, then the MVP should be able to handle it.
Exactly.
And once again, we're not going to talk about who should have won it or who should not have won it. LeBron James should have won it. But, Giannis had such a great year.
Yeah.
It's just, how are we rating this award? Is it the most popular? Who did the most this year? Who is the best in the game of basketball this year? Who did the most for their team? There's just so many different perspectives you can look at it. And best for their team, best in the league.
It don't matter. It don't matter right now.
It's the same answer right there, but
it doesn't matter.
But I digress.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, guys. So we have an exciting new series that we want to present to you today, and it is the art of playing time. So we're going to be breaking it down into a 3-part series: a player's perspective of playing time, a parent's perspective of playing time, and a coach's perspective of playing time. So this is going to be interesting, Ace. We're going to hit a player's perspective of playing time today. And we're just going to really dive into that. We're going to give the ins and outs of maybe how you can play more, what you can do when you are playing to help the people that are not playing as much. And when you are not playing, how you can dive into the team. So you excited, my man?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
All right. So I'm going to start off and we're just going to get right into it. So it's the 3 keys to playing time. And I think this is the most important for people that are trying to play more, whether it is on their team, in high school, college, professionally. 3 most important things to playing is, one, and the most important one in my belief, is you need to talk to your coach. Because too often we can go talk to a parent, we can talk to a friend, and we're not getting what the coach wants us to do in order to get the most playing time, because we have to play for this coach. So gaining someone else's perspective where you actually are at the current moment, that is not saying that you cannot go to a different place, but where you are at the current moment. And that could be tough conversations. You might have a conversation being like, listen, I don't see, and you go talk to a coach and be like, listen, you're lacking in this, this, and this. And although I might believe that, someone coach telling me you're lacking in this, this, and this, but you're a great shooter. I need you to be a great shooter this year. You have to be able to accept that role, which leads into the second point, which is establishing your role. And too often as players, we can get into the mindset of trying to prove someone wrong instead of talking to your coach and embracing that role that he or she says that you need to be in this year. So one of my, Coach Wicks, who was my boss last year at Missouri Western, he's currently at Wyoming, said, when you have that conversation with a player, like, okay, I need you to be a great shooter. I need to shoot 38 to 42%. And I don't need you taking a bunch of 2s.
Yeah.
He said, when people are like, say, listen, you're not a great 2-point shooter and you just need to be doing this for now. Coach Wicks said that these players are the ones that do not play. The ones that say, oh yeah, let me show you how bad I can really be.
Right.
And the meaning of that is that instead of listening and accepting your role for the benefit of the team, which will actually benefit you in return,
absolutely,
you are making yourself a liability by trying to do these things you're not necessarily good at, and you're actually going to be forced to make the coach to make a decision to put yourself on the bench. So I really think it's important to establish that role and understanding and accepting your role. The third one, and although I said talking to your coach is the most important, this one's, man, it's right behind it. And it is work your freaking tail off. You got to work your tail off, man, because whatever you think is hard and whatever you think is hard work, triple it. I mean, that's my best advice. You need to triple it, because too often we see, okay, like I need to go to the gym for this long. Well, somebody else is doing that exact same work, and they might be more talented than you. So
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
happens when there's a more talented player that steps into that position and does the same amount of work as you? You're not going to play over them.
Yep.
So that leads me into 3A of this segment, or of work your tail off. So the like a little side part of this is you need to have a plan when you're going to work your tail off.
Yeah.
So those two questions are: one, what do I need to accomplish? And two, how am I going to accomplish it?
Yeah.
So going to a personal story of me was, I used to watch videos to see what I needed to do. Like, what were these other people doing that was making them successful?
Right.
And how was that relating to me? So I think that's one that's very important. Watch people that have done it in the past and then try to replicate it.
Yeah.
So two is, I'm weird. I'm a little weird, Asa. So I used to so I used to write workouts. Like I would get a little composition notebook and I would write my workouts down.
Yeah.
And so like just having a plan, and it doesn't necessarily have to look like that. Some people's plans look like going to trainers and asking the trainer, what's our plan? Like, what's our plan? Like, you're putting me through these workouts, but what's our large goal here? What's our big goal that we're trying to strive for? And how are we micro managing these little details in order to get to these goals, to get to the small goals in order to reach our big goals? So I think it's very important to have a plan in writing workouts or having a specific workout. So for instance, my freshman year, I didn't write as much, but I had this video called Super Handles.
Okay.
And I would do these workouts on super handles. And I still wrote like a portion of my workouts down.
Yeah.
But I knew these super handle workouts were going to help me with my ball handling, et cetera. And that's something I really needed to improve if I was going to be the starting or even if playing point guard. I needed to be able to handle the ball. So like I really dove into these super handle workouts, and there was like a 15 to 20 minute segment or a little part of video clip that I would watch, and I would go through and I would do that. Bang, 20 minutes of ball handling. And then I would be like, okay, well, what am I good at? I'm good at shooting. And that's like 3B when you're working your tail off, is you need to execute at what you're good at. And that kind of leads off to about establishing your role, because I heard from one coach, and I can't put my finger on exactly who said it, but when you are working, or no matter what you do, you might not be better than someone else.
Yeah.
But it's being great at one thing, being elite at one thing is better than being average at everything. So that kind of stayed in my head. And anyway, so that's my 3 keys for today, Asa.
I think those 3 keys are spot on. Not only are they spot on, I honestly think they can kind of be interchangeable depending on the circumstance. So I'm gonna piggyback off of your first one, talking to your coach. One thing that I've realized since becoming a coach, go talk to your coach. I know I was hesitant a lot, and
it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah,
it can be uncomfortable.
Absolutely. For a couple reasons, but let me back up real quick. So go talk to them, because coaches really do want to hear from the players. Like, guys, we love y'all. We want y'all around. We're around y'all every day. We see y'all more than we see our own families. So go and talk to them. And if something is up, then address it with them.
And don't be scared to, like, be able to accept criticism.
Exactly. Well, and that's the thing, you can go speak to your coach now and ask him whatever you want. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to like the answer or agree with the answer. Yep. And as a matter of fact, none of those things, you're probably not going to like it, and you're probably not going to agree with it whatsoever.
So Ace, I want to ask you a question regarding that. So as a player, how would you have responded to that?
Looking back on, responded to it?
Yeah, like if you went in, had a tough conversation, and they told you something that you did not want to hear, how would you have responded to that?
All right, I'll be completely transparent with you, and I really haven't even told a ton of people this story. But after my sophomore year at Lipscomb, I didn't play really much at all my sophomore year, less than I did my freshman year, and so I had a year-end meeting with Casey, and he asked if I wanted to leave because I wasn't playing much. He said, and I said, well, no, I don't want to. I said, do you want me to leave? And he was like, well, no, I don't want you to, but I know how much basketball means to you and how much you want to play. So I would be willing to help you out, if that was the case. And I said, honestly, no, I don't have a desire to leave. With all due respect, I'm going to sit here and I'm just going to try to work my tail off as much as I possibly can. and hopefully try to prove you wrong. Ended up getting hurt the next 2 years, but
I was about to say those dang ACLs.
Yeah. So I had like that conversation where I got an answer. I got kind of a reaction or an answer that I, one, didn't like, and two, wasn't happy to hear. So I think I handled it fine by saying, I want to stay here and work. Now, not to say that you're selling out if you leave, or you're taking the easy way out if you transfer or anything.
Yeah,
like
sure.
that. Yeah. So I've had that tough conversation before, and it's not fun, but I'll tell you what, it kind of makes you feel a little better after, no matter how it goes. It gives you some clarity, an idea of where the coach's head's at, where your head's at, what you need to do. So I was cool with it. But each person is different. I would think that most kids in a position on a college basketball team would be mature enough to handle something like that. And if you're not, then you may have a rude awakening when you get out into the real world after college. So it's important to go talk to your coach, if for the very least, just trying to figure out where his head's at and where you stand in his eyes.
Absolutely, Ace. Absolutely. Yeah. All right, man. So we're going to get into a couple questions, just because we're going to try to keep this podcast a little bit shorter than we had in the weeks past, just so the viewers can get some really good information from us and take that with them.
Nate, I'm going to stop you real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I keep my towel on me. I'm going off path here. I keep my towel on me to wipe my face. And we should have brought this up earlier, but rest in peace to John Thompson. Basically,
I was about to say.
Basically, what I'm getting at is I'm becoming the John Thompson of podcasting. I got a towel over my shoulder. I'm probably going to be like,
man,
one day. So if you see my towel, I'm just channeling my inner John Thompson.
That's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, that's all I'm doing. In all seriousness, though, RIP to a legend, because that guy is a college basketball icon.
One of the best coaches of all time.
We should have addressed him in our first episode, since I think he passed away right before we started it. So
yeah, he did.
Not doing it. But anyway.
Awesome, man. All right, so we're going to get into the questions. All right, so the first question we're going to ask is, when you are playing, right? So like we have both been in our careers. We have both played a lot of minutes at some point in our career.
Yeah.
So how did you personally, one, look at your time playing? How did you get there? How did you get to be playing the minutes you were playing? And two, how did you possibly perceive the people that were not playing as much as you? And I'm going to let you take that over.
Yeah. A lot of working my tail off, to be honest. Countless hours in the gym, days in the gym, weeks in the gym, gyms with no AC, just constantly working and trying to get to the point where if I wasn't playing, it wasn't because I didn't do anything on my own outside of practice and mandatory workouts, right? Like you got to get yourself, you can't leave anything up to chance. You got to be, if you're not playing, you have to at least be able to look yourself in the mirror and be like, well, I did everything I possibly could to get on the court. And if it does, and it might not work out for you. It didn't work out for me really in college. But at certain times it did. So, but at least give yourself a chance where you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I at least gave it my all and gave myself the best shot to find playing time on the court.
Absolutely. So, and the second part of that question was, how did you perceive the people that might not be playing as much as you? Because it's very easy to look at the people that are not playing and maybe their attitudes aren't great.
Yeah.
How did you look at those people? And then all of a sudden you have this perspective, maybe later on in your career where you're not playing as much. How did you look at those people at the time when you were playing a ton and versus the time that you did not play as much?
Yeah. Well, when there are people on your team that are not playing as much, I think it's important to make them make them understand how important they are to the team, because their number could be called at any given moment. They may come in at the end of a game and maybe they need to commit a foul that's critical.
Something so small, but they might not think it's important, but it.
Exactly. Maybe they come in at the end of a half and they have a wide open three, and the way, you've been making them feel important because they hit a shot because of the love you've been showing them and trying to encourage them and keep them engaged and things of that nature. So I think really for people that are not playing, it's important to don't alienate them. Make sure they understand that they are a part of this team and that you need them. They are there for a reason. You need them on the team and to be engaged and ready to go when their number's called.
Absolutely. And so like for me, like my role in high school was scoring, defend, lead, and get shooters the ball. and win games doing that combination of things.
Yeah.
Going to college, I had to accept the role of, okay, I still need to be a great leader.
Yep.
But now I just need to shoot threes. And when I drive, I better kick that ball because I'm not a good finisher. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that going into, I thought I was okay. I was a good basketball player, so I encompassed everything. But and then another one, obviously, find Gary. So find Gary, give Rob the ball in the post when he's open. But I think two great things I heard when I was in college was Coach Alexander brought me into the locker room between my sophomore and junior year and said, we're not the locker room, his office. And he said, listen, Nate. And this is one thing I respect greatly about Coach Alexander. He never shot the breeze. He was always straight to it. So like for certain people that kind of took them the wrong way. And at times that could take me the wrong way, but like, I'm the type of person, I might get mad and then I'll go back and look at it and I'm like, okay, yeah, no, he's right. Like this guy knows what he's talking about. So Coach Alexander flat out said like, listen, Nate, you're a really good shooter, but you're not a great 2-point shooter. And I was like, and I had that moment of like what Coach Wick said, let me show you how bad I really am. But like, to me, it was like, I want to work on that. I want to work on that. So like every summer I did, but I also remembered in the back of my head what someone told me about, okay, well, you need to work on your strengths 3 times compared to the one of your weaknesses. And it might've been Drew Hanlon thing, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And so like, I started doing that. And then going into my junior year as well, Coach R had me in his office, Coach Rutigliano. And he said, listen, Nate, if you take away 2 of your 2-pointers that you take a game that you're shooting at this percentage and you take 1 more 3, you're an all conference player. And although like he might've just been saying that to get me in the right mindset, that kind of shifted where I was at too. It was like, he just knew how to talk to me and understand me and like, okay, listen, Nate, you shoot 40% from 3 and you average 11 to 12 points. You could be an all conference player. And it was like he was predicting the future. Like that's exactly what I did, but I was not an all conference player. Nowhere close.
Well, I mean, what's funny is that he's telling you you're not good at one thing, right? But then he paints it in a way, but he's not telling you not to do anything, not to try to. He's literally telling you to like shoot another shot, a 3 a game.
But see, here's the funny thing is that both of them, and what we have to understand, like when talking to players and like, so I'm talking from a player's perspective, because this is what this episode is about, is listen to the coaches. I accepted that role and I still played 25 to 30 minutes a game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was not the most talented on the court. I was not the most athletic. I was not the best defender. And a lot of people have those roles. I was not that role.
Right.
But I accepted my role that the coaches gave to me. And so it provided minutes for me. But I would say also for how I would, at that time when I was playing and viewed people that were a little bit bought into themselves on the bench, I didn't understand it, Ace. I didn't understand it because I was like, I haven't been in that position. I don't understand what it's like not playing. I was just always like, work harder, work harder, work harder.
Yeah.
But sometimes like we just, no matter how hard some people work, you're not at that level. So anyway, that gets me into my next question.
Yeah.
And our final question, which is, when you are not playing Asa, how do you feel like you are a part of the team? How do you give to the team? How do you feel like you make the most difference? So go ahead.
That's a good question. Being for me, well, one, showing up and competing every day at practice. So if you're not going to go out there and get points, in the games, try to make your teammate better in practice, right? If you're slacking off, taking plays off, possessions off in practice, how is your teammate supposed to get better, right? For the all conference guy that's ahead of you that is playing, right? Get him better. And if I'm the type of dude that will probably be like, you know what? I helped him get all conference because I was going at him every day in practice.
Right. And that's the type of perspective certain people need to take in. But go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, no. But then being as vocal as you possibly could to just being vocal, dude. Timeouts, clapping, yelling. I know Zach Fleener would tell you, whenever we were down at the end of the bench, John Matt, man, I was yelling so loud, just trying to be heard.
Oh, I was there. I was registered.
Letting everybody know that I was there, letting your voice be heard, that you're engaged.
Absolutely.
So those 2 things for me, man, just competing, pushing your teammates every day in practice, putting others before yourself, and really being vocal. Even now, like I said a little earlier, I'm low on the list of important people in the program at TSU, but I want to be the loudest in the gym without, stepping on Penny's toes or anything, or going
No,
over my boundaries. I want, if I'm saying something, they're going to hear me. I hope.
No, hey, that's awesome, man. And I completely 100% agree with what you just said.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go off that, and I'm gonna bring 2 Bible verses into this. And when I'm talking about Bible verses, you don't have to be a Christian to understand how important and life changing these Bible verses can be. You can never experience religion or Christianity and just the knowledge that this brings to your mind. So John 3:30 says, "He must become greater, I must become less." And that's talking about Jesus and everything. Like if you put him greater, then you're going to be like, you're going to become less, and you're going to start understanding the true meaning of everything going on around you. When it comes to a basketball team, I'm going to bring up Philippians 2:4 that says, let each of you let each of you look not only on his own interests, but also to the interests of others. And I think being a great teammate, Asa, is exactly that. Because there's like, especially when you are not playing, in which this question I'm trying to answer right now, when you're not playing, it's so easy to dive into yourself.
Yeah.
It's so easy because it's like, why am I not playing? Oh, this stinks. I don't really care. But truly what we are called to do as teammates, when we committed to a program or when we decided to join a high school basketball team or any of that, we decided to play for that team. We did not decide to score 3,000 points or be the best player on the team. We decided to be, okay, we trust in this coach. We trust in these guys around us. That's why we're doing it.
Yeah.
So like, and another thing is like in 15 years, people aren't going to remember how many points you scored. I think I've talked to you about this before.
Yeah.
People are going to remember how you treated them and
Yeah.
what kind of teammate you were and what kind of friend you were and if you were there for them. So like, I think the most important thing is just being able, and it's the hardest thing. I mean, both of us understand this. It is the hardest thing ever to get outside yourself and pour it into others. But I think it's the most important thing.
It's the most important, and it's definitely the most fulfilling.
100%.
I know I've used the word miserable like 3 or 4 times already on this podcast, but you will be miserable if you can't figure out a way to get past it and put others before yourself.
And we can both speak to that, Asa, because like my 5th year was my most fulfilling year. It was the hardest. It was so hard, but trying to fight through all of the, like, I'm not playing, and being like, okay, I'm still going to be the loudest talker on the bench. Like you were saying, I'm going to be the loudest talker. I'm going to be a great teammate. I'm still going to lead. I'm just not going to be on the court as much. I think that's so important. And because we have this perspective of like, I have felt fulfilled by it. You have felt fulfilled by it. And now we get to, and it's like, it probably is a little part of why we became coaches. It's because like, we don't have to be on the court to understand how great it is to pour into others. So I just think that's interesting. And I love what you said about just being the loudest talker on the bench and everything. So that's great, man.
Thank you. Yeah, dude. I agree with that. Yeah. Everything you said was spot on. Be a good teammate, man. Pour yourself into others. And then it doesn't matter who gets the credit. Like you said, in 20 years, nobody's going to remember. It's amazing what can happen when nobody cares who gets the credit. The best teams I've ever been a part of, nobody on the team cared who got the credit.
Absolutely. 120%.
Yeah.
And that's 20 more percent than 100. So that's a lot of percentage.
Good math right there.
All right, brother. So, hey, we're just going to go ahead and get into the last minute of advice.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Let's
you got something for me?
Yeah, I got some. So I was watching actually last week after we got done recording, I went and turned on The King, watch him play. And I think it was one of the Van Gundys or something. I can't remember which one's doing is it Stan that's doing the announcing now? Whatever. He had a great quote, and he said,
I think they're both doing it, but
he said, if you're juiceless, you're useless. If you're juiceless, you're useless. And so what I mean by that is you got to have like something to you when you come into practice, when you go to the game. You got to have some juice about you, some oomph, some energy. One of our assistant coaches, he says, you got to have some shit to you every day at practice, right? You got to have something to you when every drill, every time. Coach Nick, that shout out to you, man. He's the one. He says that every day, and he's right. You got to have something to you. You got to have something about you. So if you're not juiceless, you're useless.
Hey, and I'm going to go ahead and piggyback off that a little bit. It's not my last minute of advice, but I'm going to have to shout out Coach Wicks, who is the juice man.
Yeah,
so,
because y'all had the shirts.
He is BYOJ, bring your own juice to the core. I mean, and he lived it every single day of his life, and he's still living it. So shout out Coach Wicks. I mean, that's all you. That's all you, brother. So anyway, man, so my last minute of advice is this is a quote by Jean-François Comté. Okay. Yeah. Have you heard that name before? I sure hadn't until I did some research. It's a French politician, but listen, because it is going to pertain to the game of basketball. So he says, or really to the game of life, but I invite everyone to choose forgiveness rather than division. Teamwork over personal ambition. And I just feel like I just thought it was important to use that quote because –
was he a rapper? That kind of rhymed.
I know. He's smart, obviously. He's smart. Yeah. He's definitely smart. But especially with what we were talking about today about how we have played and how we have not played, it's so important to choose teamwork over yourself and own self-interest.
Yeah.
And especially in a society where we are supposed to and forced and led to believe that our self-interests are the only ways we can go up.
Right.
So I think it's so important to be able to step back and be like, listen, that's not where you're going to find fulfillment. And that's not where you're going to be most successful. However you deem most successful. I mean, that my personal definition of success might look different than another's.
Yep.
But I mean, that quote it hit home to me, Ace. It was like your segment of get this off my chest. Ace has got to get this off my chest. So maybe that's just what Nathan had to get off his chest, but that's not part of this podcast.
That's all right. That's good, man. That's good. I appreciate that.
All right, brother. Hey, well, I love you. I appreciate you coming on today. You killed it, my man. You killed it. And I'm very excited for this new segment. I mean, the new segment, if you're at the end of the podcast and you've skipped forward, go back and watch it again, because every single week we are going to have Ace has got to get this off his chest, and there might be not a better part of the podcast. So
thank you. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. So hopefully people enjoy it. You know the deal. If you love it, tell your family and friends. If you hate it, tell everybody.
Absolutely. All right, brother. Well, thank you for tuning in to the Mind of a Coach podcast. Once again, this is your host, Coach Nathan Moran and Coach Asa Duvall. You can follow us on Twitter at Mind of a Coach 1. You can follow us on Instagram at Mind of a Coach, and you can follow our individual pages as well at The Ace of Spades with a Z on the end. You can follow mine as well, Nathan Moran at Nate5_Moran. Once again, I appreciate you guys tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week.
See you later.